Hi guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another championship predictions video. We've got the predictions for the midweek championship games coming up. We've got games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and today I'm joined by Sophie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. Still a bit gutted after yesterday's defeat to Barnsley?
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
Let's not talk about that. Let's hope Coventry City bounce back this week. If you haven't already, guys, do drop a like on this video. Let's get 100 likes for Championship Predictions Week 3. And do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's really important you hit that red button down below. But let's get into this. Let's start on Tuesday night then. Let's start with Barnsley Football Club versus Luton Town. Now, two teams that really overachieved last season. Both predicted to have a bit of a relegation battle, and then both went on to really do well, both finishing in the top half. Barnsley making the playoffs. Now, so far this season, they've both picked up 3 points. They've both picked up a win. Luton obviously beat Peterborough 3-0 and then narrowly lost out at the Hawthorns the other day, losing 3-2 to West Brom. Barnsley obviously beat our team, Coventry City, 1-0 at the weekend. I don't think they were that amazing, but they got the job done. They got the result. And against Luton, I think these two are going to be quite evenly matched. So I'm going to go for Barnsley 1, Luton 1.
I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw because I've seen signs against Barnsley. If we were more clinical, we could have had a few goals. Obviously, we didn't score. But then watching the Luton-West Brom highlights, I thought the way West Brom tore them apart, Luton are usually really strong at the back. So there's some weaknesses there as well. So I think there's going to be goals, but I do think it's going to end a draw. So I'll say an exciting 2-2.
A 2-2 in that game. Next up, we go to Bloomfield Road, Blackpool Football Club taking on our team, Coventry City. Coventry obviously hugely frustrating. I thought we played really well against Barnsley, but you've got to take your chances at this level, otherwise you're going to get punished. And we have our second away game now. This is at Blackpool, who haven't won yet, and they're going to be desperate to get that first win. So this is going to be very tricky. I know they're a newly promoted team, but I'm a little bit worried that Blackpool could, you know, really turn up and, well, they could beat us. But I'm going to go for Blackpool 1, Coventry 1. I'd love us to get our second win, but I'm going to go for 1-1.
Yeah, to be honest, I am inclined to agree with you on a 1-1. I can see that panning out. However, there were glimpses when we played against Barnsley that we are a good team and we play good football. It's just we need to be much more clinical. I think Walker probably won't play because he went off injured, so that could be a big loss for us, to be honest. But I'm going to back the boys and I'm going to say a 2-1 win. 2-1 win. Next up then, we go to Huddersfield Town versus Preston North End. Two teams that haven't got off to the best start to the season. Huddersfield got that draw against Derby and then beaten 5-1 by an efficient Fulham Football Club yesterday. And obviously Preston North End, they're bottom of the table after 2 defeats in 2. Both teams need to get that first win, but can I see them doing it? I'm not sure. I think the sloppy start might continue for both teams. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Yeah, both teams haven't got off to a great start, to be honest. Preston, obviously, 2 defeats. Can they go away and get a win? I'm going to say they are. I'm going to say 1-0 Preston. I think there's going to be a bit of an upset there. And yeah, Huddersfield against Fulham. Obviously, Fulham are very strong, but to concede 5 in the way they did as well, it's just very, very poor. Because they had Fulham had a man sent off as well. So 5-1 against a 10-man Fulham team. It's not the best result. So I'm going to say they're going to lose at home to Preston, 1-0. 1-0
to Preston. Next up, we go to a London derby in the shape of Millwall Football Club versus Fulham Football Club. Now, obviously, Fulham, what a result. They're actually top of the league with 4 points, which is quite unusual for this time of the season. Usually, 2 games in, you've got a couple of teams that have won both their opening games, but no one has actually got off to a 100% start. So Fulham are top with 4 points, going up against Millwall, who've drawn both of their opening games 1-1. Jed Wallace netting a goal in both their games. And I'm going to say history repeats itself. Another 1-1 draw here for Millwall. I think Fulham, it's a tough opposition here for Millwall, but Millwall are a decent team themselves, so I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I agree. Millwall, they can be solid. However, I think Fulham on the day, they've just got too much, and I think they're going to win. I'm going to say 2-1 win to Fulham.
2-1 win to Fulham. Next up, Peterborough United versus Cardiff City. What a win for Peterborough. Honestly, 2 goals in stoppage time. 90 plus 10. 90 plus 10 their winner came. What a dramatic finish against Derby. So they're up and running. They've got their first 3 points. They're going up against Cardiff City, who got their first 3 points of the season with a win at Blackpool. And I thought Cardiff were quite efficient there. And yeah, I just think I'm going to back Cardiff here. I think Peterborough are going to be desperate to try and get that second win. But I'm going to go for Peterborough 1, Cardiff City 2.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2-0 Cardiff. I think they're going to win. I think, yeah, fair play to Peterborough to get that win. Again, it is against Derby, so I did think that Derby would win, to be honest. So to concede 2 really late on is poor from them. But as you said, they've only really got a starting 11. They've got no backup players, so we'll see how their season goes. But yeah, with Peterborough, I think they're gonna go for it. They're gonna have a decent game. But I can't see anything but a Cardiff win, unfortunately.
Really, a Cardiff win. Next up we go to Swansea. Swansea taking on Stoke City. Both teams drew at the weekend. Swansea City still looking for that first win. Stoke City now on 4 points. This is a tough one. I get bored of going for draws all the time, but I think I'm going to have to go for a draw here. I think there's not a lot to separate these two. I think they're both going to be, in my opinion, probably should both be in the top half. So I'm going to go for Swansea 1, Stoke City 1.
So yeah, I'm going to back a draw here as well. I think they're both going to sit back most of the game. I think, yeah, Swansea game against Sheffield United was very, very boring. And by the sounds of the Stoke and Birmingham game, that was boring as well. So I think it's going to be another boring game, 0-0.
0-0. Next up to the Medeski Reading Football Club taking on Bristol City. Reading obviously picking up a win against Preston at the weekend, and Bristol City lost, unfortunately, 2-1 to Middlesbrough. So Bristol City still looking for their first win. Oh God, this is a tough game to predict. I think you've got to just lean towards Reading, but no, let's just make an interesting prediction and say Reading 3, Bristol City 3.
Okay, wow, if you call that, then yeah, you can do my bets, but I can't see that coming in. I'm going to back Reading here. I think, yeah, to be honest, when you see them on paper, Reading have got a better team. Bristol City have some good players. I just don't know what's going on there. They just can't seem to hit a good bit of form. I know it's beginning of the season, so it might change, but I'm going to back a Reading win, 2-1.
2-1. Next up to St Andrews, Birmingham City taking on AFC Bournemouth. Both teams on 4 points, and a reasonable start for both of them. Birmingham City obviously being pretty hard to score against after picking up 2 clean sheets. And yeah, it's tough obviously when you take on AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth obviously beat Forest at the weekend. Oh God, I'm just leaning towards Birmingham 1, Bournemouth 2. I think this is a real tough test for Birmingham. I think Bournemouth just sneak it.
Yeah, I think most people, when they look at this fixture, they're going to back Bournemouth. But saying that, Birmingham, I don't know what goes on with them, but they just seem to get the results against the teams that you wouldn't think they would. So I'm going to back Birmingham here.
Ooh.
And I'm going to say 2-1.
2-1, interesting. Next up we go to the KC, where we see Hull City taking on Derby County. Both teams obviously hugely frustrated with their defeats at the weekend. Hull City, a real weird one. After winning 4-1 at Preston, they then lose 3-0 at home to QPR. So yeah, back to reality for Hull City, but Derby County still chasing their first win, and God, they're going to be a bit deflated after conceding 2 goals in stoppage time against Peterborough. This is a really hard one to predict. I think I'm just going to go for Hull. I'm going to go Hull 2, Derby 1.
Yeah, I could see it panning out that way. Derby maybe going 1-0 up and then bottling it again. But I think it may be a draw. So it's hard because, yeah, both teams are a little bit inconsistent. So I'll just say, I'll play it safe, 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Next up to the Riverside, Middlesbrough Football Club taking on Queen's Park Rangers. Another matchup of 2 teams on 4 points. QPR obviously got that win at Hull after drawing against Millwall, and Middlesbrough picked up their first win against Bristol City after drawing against Fulham. Will either team get to 7 points? I'm just going to go for QPR. I think I've backed QPR to make the playoffs this season, so I'm going to back them to get another win here. Although Middlesbrough, you know, like I said, they did pick up a decent win against Bristol City. I think this is a tough one for Middlesbrough, so I'm going to go for Middlesbrough 1, QPR 2.
Yeah, there's something about this fixture that I think is just going to be a good game. I think, yeah, both teams, I think it's going to be an evenly matched game, to be honest. So, saying that, I'm going to back another 1-1 draw.
Another 1-1 draw. Draws galore. Next up then we go to the City Ground. Nottingham Forest taking on Blackburn Rovers. Forest still looking for their first point after losing 2-1 yet again, this time against Bournemouth. And they're going up against Blackburn, who have 4 points on the board. Fair play to them. Blackburn always do usually get off to a decent start because that's what Tony Mowbray teams do. I don't know. I mean, if Forest lose their 3rd game in a row, it's alarm bells, isn't it, for Chris Hughton? So let's go for them to get a draw. Forest 1, Blackburn 1.
Yeah, I think the way Forest play football, there is some positive signs there. Obviously, we got the win against them on the opening day, but they just seem to sit back on a 1-0 win, which I hate when teams do that. Coming against Blackburn, it's a hard one to predict this, but I think, yeah, Blackburn on the day, I know they're away, but I think they're just going to have too much for Forest. I think they're going to win 2-0.
You think they're going to win 2-0?
Yeah.
And then the last game is at the Hawthorns between West Bromwich Albion and Sheffield United, two teams that got relegated last season. I believe when they played in the Premier League last season, whoever was at home won the game. I believe West Brom won at the Hawthorns and Sheffield United won at Bramall Lane. Now, I think West Brom will be the favourites, not just because they're at home, but because they've got off to a better start. They've picked up 4 points and, yeah, really good display against Luton Town. Although, what I will say is, bit leaky at the back. After 2 games, they've conceded 4 goals, which isn't a great return. Sheffield United, meanwhile, obviously picked up their first point against Swansea, but yet to score. So, I'm going to go for West Bromwich Albion 1, but because they're leaky, Sheffield United 1.
See, I want to say, yeah, West Brom's defence has looked a little bit shaky, but I can't see where the goals are going to come from Sheffield United. So saying that, I'm going to back a 2-0 win to West Brom. A 2-0
win to West Brom. I know the Sheffield United fans seem to think you hate them, but anyway, make sure you've left a like on this video, subscribed if you are new. That is all of our predictions. Let us know yours down in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace out.